Today, I'm going to show you how to prepare that potted aquarium plant that you just picked up from your local store. While your houseplants may enjoy being in a pot, your aquarium plants certainly don't. Or at least we don't like looking at this unnatural plastic pot in our beautiful fish tanks. So the first thing we're going to do is to remove this pot rather than planting it straight into the aquarium like this. So gently tease your pot away from your plant, and that will expose this rock wool. Most plants will also come with this handy little label. Keep this nearby because you will need that later. But this pot can go to recycling. We don't need this. The rock wool inside the pot is a bit like the pot. It's very useful for when these plants are grown commercially in greenhouses, but it doesn't look very nice in our aquariums. So what we want to do is we want to remove this. Most of the time it's already sort of split in half, so we can just remove that half and pull them away. This can also go into the bin, leaving you with a nice collection of individual plants that now can be separated out. Sometimes you may find that the roots have a bit of rock wool stuck onto them. In this instance, they're actually pretty good. If your plants do have a little bit of rock wool in and amongst the roots, you can gently tease it away using your planting tweezers. It helps you get in between the roots without damaging them and remove any of the final pieces of rock wool. Don't worry if you can't get it all off, it won't be too much of a problem to your aquarium if you add some to your tank. Next step, once all the rock wool has gone, is I quite like to dunk my plants in some fresh water. Give them a good rinse off, and this just removes any of the last bits of rock wool that may still be attached to the plant. It can also sort of remove any loose dead leaves that may be on there, and any contaminants that may have come in from the greenhouse, like pesticides and fertilizers. Generally speaking, you shouldn't have any nasties on your aquarium plants as long as they're from a good retailer, but you never know, and I always like to just be extra safe. It's also worth looking at your leaves really closely. So this is a Vallisneria spiralis, red, and all these leaves look really nice and healthy. But if there was any leaves that were slightly off-coloured, maybe yellowy brown, we'd want to remove those rather than adding them to our tank, because it's just going to add pollution to our aquarium and act as a great surface area for algae to grow. This plant looks really healthy and strong, and so it's now ready to go into our aquarium. But this is where our label that we put aside earlier comes in handy, because it gives us some great information about the species of plant that we have. So these plants came from AquaDip, and it tells you the species just below. So this is Vallisneria spiralis red. Then it tells you the growth speed, so how quickly this is going to grow new leaves, how quickly it's going to spread around your aquarium, and this means it's going to grow really quickly. And it also suggests where you should position your plant in your aquarium. So because this plant gets quite tall, it's suggested that you put it in the background of your tank. So really helpful if you don't know the species and you just like the look of it, so you picked it up in your local pet shop, you can get some really simple information on the front of this card. If you want even more information, turn it over and you get even more. So it gives you a temperature range which is suitable for this plant. 22 to 28 degrees Celsius is about right for most tropical aquariums. So this plant is going to thrive in most of our tanks. It tells you the maximum size. So this is how tall your plant's going to get. And as you can see, it's going to get to 60 centimeters. So for shallower tanks, it's going to drape really nicely over the top of the surface of the water. This one, place of origin. So if you're trying to make a biotope, you can check that it's from the right region for your aquarium. And then it tells you how much light this plant wants to really thrive. So this is a medium to high lighting. So you want lots of light for this plant. Another thing I forgot to mention on the front was that this top part of the label here is a color-coded system depending on how easy your plants are. So green means easy, and it even says easy at the top. Orange or amber typically means intermediate, and red is difficult or expert, or some sort of word like that. This is an easy plant despite it liking quite high lighting, because it doesn't need CO2 and highly nutrient substrate for it to thrive. And the high lighting just helps the red spiralis to go red, basically. But now it is time for us to add our plants to the aquarium. And now you can add several plants at a time and clump them together. So here we've got 3 separate plants with 3 separate root systems all coming together, and I can get them all into my forceps and add them into the aquarium. Make sure you plant them deep into the substrate, because you want to make sure that there's plenty of sand or whatever substrate you're using to grip onto the roots, ensuring they don't float back up. But if you want better coverage, because obviously that's all quite close and clumped together, you can plant them individually. And this means you can help to spread out your plants throughout your aquarium, ensuring maximum coverage and maximum shelter for your fish. Now, I am not planting these at the background like the label suggested, because it's easier to film for you guys to see what I'm doing. And it's as simple as that. Now we just have to wait and let the plants grow and spread. This is a Vallisneria and it grows and spreads by runners. So it's going to shoot out little plantlets underneath the substrate and they're going to pop up here, there and everywhere. So you do need to then come back and maintain your plants occasionally, making sure it's not going to spread and take over your tank completely. Unless that's obviously the look you're going for and you want this Vallis to take over the whole tank. Plants do come in bunches and in vitro pots as well, and they all have slightly different methods to prepare them for use in the aquarium. Let us know if you'd like a guide on those as well. Hopefully this guide will help you out when you next bring back new plants from your local fish store. I've got loads more plants to prepare for a new scape that I'm building, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video.